Hello, my name is Sean Sandow. This is my submission project for my Unit 3 assignment for fire prevention and code enforcement. I am currently a captain of the Charlotte Fire Department, and I'm here to present City Council with an education on fire prevention. There are three E's of fire prevention: education, enforcement, and engineering. Together, they are the building blocks of a well-rounded prevention program. A good fire inspector finds themselves conducting more education than enforcement. It is the inspector's job to educate business owners how to safely operate their business. This pertains to both processes that may be performed by the business or safety of the building itself. Enforcement occurs when the education piece fails and the inspector must point out violations that must be corrected in order to bring the business into code compliance. During this process, the inspector should be educating or re educating the business owner on the code and why there are violations of it. The last E is engineering. Engineering refers back to the planning and design of the building or engineering practices in the building processes to ensure it is safe for operating and occupation. Engineering will cover the structure itself as well as the life safety systems installed in the business. The proper utilization of these three E's of fire prevention will ensure a safe environment for business owners and public that enter their business. Inspectors are assigned specific areas and conduct required inspections within those areas. An inspector will conduct an inspection on a business when their regularly scheduled inspection is due, when a business is referred to inspection due to a complaint, when a building is first constructed, or when a business has change in building structure or a change in process. During the inspection, a representative of the business will walk the property with the inspector so all violations and ways to correct the violation can be communicated without miscommunication. The inspector will enforce the North Carolina Fire Code as well as standards such as the NFPA National Fire Protection Association that are referenced by the Fire Code. Once the inspection has been completed, the inspector will review any violations and determine if a reinspection date and determine a reinspection date in which all violations are expected to be corrected. The fire inspector will enter their inspection into a record management system, which we currently use on the Charlotte Fire Department as FDM, which will generate an emailed copy of the report to the business owner or representative. The fire inspector will return to the property to ensure all violations have been abated. All new buildings are expected to comply with the current fire code and NFPA standards. These buildings will be required to maintain compliance with an approved code in, eff- in effect at a time of construction. When an inspector enters an occupancy that was constructed under a previous fire code, they are not allowed to enforce the current code and must rely on the code when the building was built, which may require researching code that is decades old. When a building is built during a period in which a new code is being introduced, many times the architect or engineer will be given the choice of building under the current code or the incoming code. This can pose a challenge to a fire inspector that will have to track down the approved plans that will show the code used to design the building and its systems. In North Carolina, the local building department is responsible of the compliance of fire resistance of building materials. The building department will refer to national testing laboratories such as Underwriter Laboratories or Factory Mutual to ensure the materials and that are being used comply with requirements of the North Carolina Building Code or NFPA standards. Materials that have been approved by laboratories will be marked with an appropriate identifying marks to show they have been tested and will many times be accompanied by paperwork showing the standards to which the material was tested. The only type of test that is utilized by the Fire Prevention Bureau in the city of Charlotte is a flammability test. The test only refers to possible wall and ceiling coverings or materials utilized in the construction of tents or canopies or materials that are replaced inside those structures. In this test, a fire inspector will obtain a sample of the material and attempt to ignite the material. The material should not ignite. If the material does ignite, it should self-extinguish and not continue to burn. If the material continues to burn, it is considered to have failed the test. Fire tests and fire ratings apply to code when it comes to materials such as wall coverings or ceiling coverings, or materials that the promoter or event manager may want to introduce to a tent or canopy structure. The fire tests and ratings will also be applied to furnishings that are allowed in that business. Items such as wall coverings and furnishings will be required to have different ratings that are determined by the type of occupancy in which the building or structure was constructed or erected. A structure will be considered unsafe if the inspector observes a failure or weakening in the stability of the structure that may cause injury or death if the structure fails. An example of this could be wood rot or the crumbling of a concrete or block wall. If an issue such as this is observed, the inspector will submit a request to a local building department who has the responsibility for ensuring the structural stability of buildings in their jurisdiction. The fire inspector will follow up with the building inspector to obtain the findings of the building inspector. If the building shows possible imminent failure of the structure, the fire inspector will placard the building with an unsafe building placard showing that no one, except an inspector, has the right to enter the structure. The building construction type with which poses the biggest hazard of potential conflagration and fire spread is lightweight wood construction, also known as Type 5 construction. You'll find this type of construction in single family homes and multi-family buildings, such as apartment buildings. Some of these buildings are equipped with fire sprinkler systems that comply with NFPA 13 R, which is a sprinkler system that is only allowed in residential settings, are designed for safety of the occupants and not the structure itself, and some may be equipped with a full NFPA 13 system, which will protect the structure as well as occupants. Unfortunately, there are older multifamily structures built with lightweight wood construction that are not equipped with life safety systems and are completely reliant upon the quick response of the local fire department to contain the spread of fire. Finally, plan review in the Fire Prevention Bureau is the first line of defense for ensuring a building is in compliance with the fire code. It starts with the civil plans of a building in which the plans examiner ensures proper access for the fire department apparatus, ensures the building is within proper reach for the connected hose lines on apparatus, and ensures there is enough water to the closest hydrant if a fire does occur. Even though fire inspectors in North Carolina cannot force a building to install a life safety system, such as a fire alarm or fire sprinkler system, this falls on the local building department. The fire inspector reviews the system to ensure it complies with North Carolina Fire Code and the appropriate NFPA standard. This review of a building plan and life safety systems helps to aid the quick response of the local emergency agencies, as well as aiding in the egress of the occupancies by the life safety systems if the structure becomes unsafe. Structural control, such as compartmentalization, will help to maintain other areas of the building habitable, even if the portion of the structure does become unsafe. Again, my name is Sean Sandow. This is my presentation to City Council in regards to fire prevention and how it is done here in the city of Charlotte. The information was obtained and helped with by Inspector David Conrad of the Fire Marshal's Department of our Fire Prevention Bureau with the Charlotte Fire Department. Thank you for your time.